Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creation Podcast, the show where we discuss the science that confirms Scripture. I'm your host, Trey, and today I actually have with me two other podcast people. I have Ivana and Michael. Thank you all so much for being here.
Hey, Trey. Glad to be here.
Salutations.
Yes, we actually have no scientists up here for this.
Yes.
I guess we could call it a special episode, this special Christmas episode. We are all part of the digital media team. You are the director of digital media, the digital media specialist, and I'm, of course, the content developer. And we're going to look behind the curtain a little bit, talk about our journey here, see where we've come from, where we're headed, and some other funny things, I guess. So let's begin.
Okay.
Do y'all want to say anything before we get started?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Things look different around here.
Yes.
If you're
And
our
watching.
friend.
Yeah, I don't normally wear
If you're
green
listening, you can't
suspenders
quite
and a red
get it.
tie. Yeah. For those listening, audio only, we do have a dinosaur dressed in a Santa hat and a Christmas tree.
Dr. Clary loves our velociraptor. This is, in fact, a velociraptor, or a replica of a velociraptor.
Right.
It is an actual.
Couldn't afford to get the real
Yeah, we
one.
couldn't get the real
Those
one.
are very
Next year,
expensive.
hopefully.
All right, we'll talk to Dr. G about that. See if we can get that approved. All right, so we've been doing this, I guess, for a little more than a year now. Seems like longer than that sometimes. Seems like shorter than that at other times. But let's take a look back over the last year. Think about some of our favorite experiences, some of our favorite episodes. The Creation Podcast, but also just in the digital media team as a whole, I guess.
Yeah. We've done a lot of different things. The Creation Podcast did exist, but we've obviously done a whole new thing with it. So that's been really exciting. I love that I got to be a part of that in the team. So there's a lot of new things that we've tried that I think as we go, certain things work, certain things we have ideas of how to improve them. But for me, some of my favorite episodes, I would say would be, there's some where I hosted about the cell with Dr. Tompkins, and also the two CET episodes with Dr. G. I really enjoyed those. Maybe that's because I hosted them. I really got to, it feels like you have that discussion with the scientists. But I like a couple others. I would say some of my favorite would be the complex systems that defy evolution. I thought that was a really good episode, just explaining why is there a compelling argument about the way we look at these functions and features in our bodies or in other organisms. But other episodes like with the Ice Age, with fossils, just some really good arguments in these quick episodes so that people can hear it as well as share it with others. So there's a lot of favorites. It's kind of hard to narrow it down, but I think it's been great as we've just gone and covered so many different topics.
Yeah.
I agree. At CET was going to be one of mine that I was going to mention, 1 and 2. There are 2 parts.
Yes.
And one of my favorite things we've done on the show is that we've added the video component. And it used to just be audio only. We started back in, I think, 2018. But really with this last year, we've added regularity and frequency that people can predict. And I love that predictability that I know when it's going to happen. I can tune in. And because it's video, we want more subscribers on YouTube. So you can watch us talking and not just hear us. While you're commuting, I suggest maybe don't watch us, but you can also listen
Unless
through
you're
YouTube.
driving
It's
a
great.
Tesla, right?
Yeah, maybe, but read the owner's manual first. Sign the waivers, whatever. But in terms of favorite episodes, I'm more on the production side of it, so I'm not sitting up here with y'all as much, but seeing y'all as hosts, the CET 1 and 2 were that was my top favorite episodes, including the more recent episode 32 as Distant Starlight. That's a question we hear about all the time, I think, on social media, at events. How do we solve that problem? How do we answer that? And so having us explain that to people, I think is very helpful. And then going back to the beginning of this year's programming, the relevance. Why do we even do what we do?
Yeah.
Why is creation science important? So I think those are my favorites.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What about you, Trey? Do you have some favorite episodes?
Yes. like you, every single one that I've hosted, those are my favorites. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I would say, honestly, one of my favorites, and I did host this one, but that's beside the point. I think my favorite was the Ice Age one with Dr. Hebert.
Yeah.
Part of why it was my favorite was because we all know Dr. Hebert is very, very passionate about the Ice Age and about tearing apart the Milankovitch theory in particular. And I loved this episode because we were drawing it to a close. So it's been running about 20 minutes or so. And he says, actually, can I say one more thing? And I'm like, oh, sure, yeah. I figure he would just, give like a little brief tidbit. And then he immediately like went into tearing the Milankovitch theory apart, which is great. I've seen him do it a dozen times, and it's great every time. But that just a little bit took up another like 50% of the episode. So it's always great when the scientists get like really passionate about it, and they just, when they're not like talking from a script or anything. They're just going on about what they know and what they believe, and I'd say that one's my favorite. I also really like, I would say, some of the ones with Dr. Galuza. I've worked here for a while, and I know most of the scientists at least reasonably well, but getting to hear Dr. G talk about his craft more personally, from the biology point of view, has just been he really knows his stuff. So that's been eye-opening and just a joy. So.
I mentioned the video component. Let's go back to that for a second.
Yeah.
Because before we had a great design for a logo, and we would share each episode whenever we would post that. But now with the video component, we have custom thumbnails featuring our hosts and the subject matter. And so I just wanted to share a few of my favorites and why. Surprise.
Okay.
In no particular order. Ivana, Mount St. Helens. Washington's violent, explosive, something or other volcano, episode 23. It's like you were there.
It felt like it.
Where did the sun come from? Episode 25, Trey. I hope your sunglasses were polarized and you had your high SPF on.
No,
SPF directly
on the
eyes.
Don't do this. Don't try this at home.
Don't try that at home. The damage done to my eyes filming or taking that picture was monumental.
It's amazing that we got you out there.
Yeah.
So close.
We had to call in a special favor from Colonel Williams.
Another favorite, episode 28, I believe, about fossils. Is this Trey again? The pose. People, go watch, go look. The pose of that thumbnail.
Is that the one where I'm holding the statue?
Yes.
And I'm like, that was good.
That was great. I don't know what you were posing for, but it was good.
I think I was told look intense, and I was like, okay, and
that works.
That's just what my body did. So.
Episode 31. I think all these were Trey except for that one for you. I apologize. And I left Lauren out too, not on purpose. Episode 31, useless organs. It was about vestigial organs, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You look like you were in a lot of pain.
We said burst that appendix, and he did it on command.
On cue.
I'm a method model.
Can you do that again for us?
I had to burst my appendix just to take that picture.
Yeah.
And then they rushed me to the ER.
Yes. And the caption that went with that later was, no, trust me, Trey's fine. Something like that.
Fine,
he's really okay.
That's good stuff.
Those are my favorite thumbnails. Has nothing to do with the content.
That's great.
But
I think that's great. Thanks for sharing that.
I love it. And of course, we'll add those on screen. So if you are listening to just the audio version,
you have to subscribe to our
You need to
channel.
now go subscribe to our YouTube channel.
It's
so you
free.
Can see. It is
if you
free.
hear subscribe and you think, I'm not paying no, it's free.
Yeah. All right. So episodes aside and the Creation Podcast aside, what are some of your just, I guess, favorite things that happened this year in regard to the digital media team?
I have to think about that, so I'll pass it to Michael.
And I pass it right back. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's been a fantastic year. This was our first full year as a new department, and we all took that adventure in full stride and joined together really quickly, bonded. I think that was amazing just to see us come from different departments and outside the organization. People not on camera, people you're not getting to see right now. James, Clint, Jem, Alistair, and others who volunteered and helped us along the way with the various podcasts we do too. We're all very thankful and appreciative for their work. And so I think having us bond as a team and adding new people to the team even throughout this year has been just fantastic. It allows us to do this work. Because if it was just left to the three of us, y'all wouldn't be watching this show right now.
Well, we could you still make camcorders?
Yeah.
Maybe we could.
I mean, we could just use an iPhone or something.
Yeah, we'll
Selfie
figure it out.
time.
I don't know. I'm an Android. What can I say? We wouldn't.
Boo.
Google Pixel. Oof.
That's fine. Now, it's hard to pick one thing or maybe even two, but I would say the same thing of, I know that there's so much more we can do. There's so many ideas that we have, or even our audience, they've put in different comments, or if we got emails about different things. So obviously there's so many ways that things can go. But I think it is really encouraging to see that we just jumped right on this, and we're trying and we're going and we're experimenting. And I think along the way we've got not just new equipment to start with, but as we were going, making those constant improvements, using our technical CET, can you apply CET to
Yes.
how we do
Adaptation.
things? We are just adapting.
Definitely have to.
Like human engineers.
Yeah, so I think it's been interesting to see how we've just tried to meet this need, because it's so relevant, obviously, to do podcasts, to do digital media, whether it's films or even being present on social media. So I think all of that, it's been interesting to see how we've just had to go for it. And obviously we're still going, and we're going to keep growing in what we do and try new things.
Yeah. I can't wait for us to do these podcasts completely virtually inside the metaverse with Mark Zuckerberg. It'll be great.
As holograms.
As holograms, yes.
Yes.
I don't know about that, but
I'm not here for this.
all right. So thank you guys for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
It's been a blast working with you all over the past year. Now that we've talked about some of the good, maybe we had an idea. The team came together very quickly, and a lot was expected of us pretty quickly, and so we had to turn some things around. On a timeline, we'll just say that. A very short time. Yes, yeah. I mean, I guess that is a relevant point.
Yes.
We had to turn some things around on a short timeline. Not everything went perfectly. Let's talk a little bit about that. We have a lot of talent, but in practice, things can be a little more difficult.
How do we unpack this? Is he looking at you?
All right, so Ivana's in the hot seat. What went wrong?
Ouch.
When? Where? Just in general.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's kind of funny, You look back and you're like, oh wow, that happened or whatever. So I mean, we've had to take breaks, right? As you're filming, I kind of wish we did more bloopers, but maybe we're not gonna add that in yet. It
That's
depends.
what this is.
Yeah, if you guys leave enough comments.
This entire podcast is a
emails.
blooper. Yeah.
So there's times, you get all choked up when you're saying something, not because it's emotional, just because biological systems are failing in the moment. So there's just funny things like that. We joke about random sounds, whether it's the ceiling suddenly wants to cave in, or at least sounds like it does.
Or the rats.
Oh yeah, is it rats?
The ceiling rats.
We don't have those.
We don't know what it is.
No.
So just different things like that have been, kind of funny. I don't know if it's always funny in the moment.
Sorry,
but
James. Sorry.
it's funny now. Or just finding out later if a mic wasn't turned on. Like some of our technical staff, they feel that. They feel when things go weird or lights shut off randomly. So that's been fun.
Checking them now.
When you have an expectation, we're just, we're going to get in there, we're going to do it, and then something random happens. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Michael, you have any thoughts?
Goodness. I think I've just filed it all away, and then the special file.
The special file.
I think it's actually been really great, though. I mean, even those speed bumps, we've overcome them. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I have anything to add. Some of that was a surprise about the biological system
Failings.
failure.
Yeah.
You covered really well.
I mean, okay, so for me, there's two things in particular that I wanted to mention. I listened to some of the So we batch film. For everyone at home, we batch film. We don't sit there and we film it live and then we immediately ship it out the next day. We film a lot of podcasts over the course of like 2 weeks. And I listened to some of those first ones that I filmed and I just said, but I said, so many times.
Verbal tics.
The verbal tics. And like, it's something that you don't recognize you're doing, and then you listen to it and you're like, oh my gosh,
But the
I am
commenters
so embarrassed.
recognize.
Yes, yeah, they do. And they're
So
like,
we're sorry.
yes, sorry for
Yeah,
the couple of commenters who are like,
absolutely.
you sure do say a lot. You're
Thank
right. I'm
you.
working on it. I'm working on
But
it.
it is tricky. Like
is
to
tricky.
plead our case, although I don't want to say, let's always say or whatever the word might be or phrase. But when you are being recorded and you feel like you have to say it in one take, but also I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed. What did I want to say next? So I think that's where the verbal tics start finding their way in. So it's just a reflection of us being human. But we're working on it.
Right. I say because if
Right.
I didn't, I would just give this dead stare and everyone would think like, is he all right?
You would so we prefer you say
we prefer the
then that
sometimes. The other thing that really makes me laugh is, again, some of the first episodes that we filmed, our team, not just, well, I wasn't there, but we had the expedition where a lot of the scientists and our main videographer, Clint, and a lot of other people, and Michael, you were there as well, went to an expedition all across America, all over the place. When y'all got back, I said, now I'm going to notice it, and I'm going to
no.
point it out every time I
it's
say it in this
uncomfortable.
podcast. Yeah, there I did it again.
Yep.
So the expedition, when we got back, the slider that one of our cameras is sitting on, we were filming some episodes of the podcast, and we're like sitting there, and then all of a sudden you hear, and
So sorry if you're listening at loud volume. just now.
Yes. Turn down now.
but it would sorry, headphone users. It would only happen every once in a while, and we're like, "What is that?"
What about that?
And so
And you're like
we would like mess with it, and Clint and James would mess with it and try to figure out what's going on. We're like, "Oh, okay, we think it's fixed." And then finally, for a couple of
WD-40
episodes, for a couple of episodes, we just turned the slider off because we didn't know what it was. And it turned out, I think it was like a single grain of sand. They found a single grain of sand in like the gear mechanism. And
Somehow that sounds biblical.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like
The
that
Lord knows
shows
how
you.
many are on this planet. And one of them was in that slider.
That's right.
Right there.
Yeah.
That one right there.
Thank you guys for your work.
We brought that grain of sand all the way from wherever, Yellowstone? I don't know.
And now
Wyoming.
we've
Oh, yes.
taken that
Wyoming.
grain and we have it in a very special
We planted it.
jar.
We're seeing if it'll grow anything.
No, we don't. I don't
We
know.
have a
where it
bottle
went.
for tears and then a bottle for the one grain of sand.
The one grain of
I
sand.
don't
just
know
one.
where it went.
Yeah.
I don't think we have it.
No. Probably got that.
That's a
right.
good one. Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing that up.
Yeah, I remember that
It
because
was very distracting.
because as someone who rough cuts a lot of these episodes, I
Blessings.
just heard it again. So I was like, oh yeah, that's
was a
an older
thing.
episode. Yeah, that was a thing. So now to the part of the show. This is fun. I'm excited for this, and we might get a little bit of flack for it, but I'm excited for
Hey.
it. You know what? If we can't laugh at ourselves,
You know,
then
They will.
Yeah, then they will. They will. All right.
laugh, mock,
But we
scorn,
we
you know.
love our audience.
Yes.
Even though there's a lot of people who don't agree with us,
Mm-hmm.
we let their comments exist, or we interact with them, or if they have a question, then we interact, and if they don't, we don't really censor negativity either. So we love our supporters, and we welcome the skeptics and maybe the non-supporters as well. So I just wanted to
Yes.
preface.
And then there are some who support us halfway in some areas,
in between.
and then
We welcome all comments
Yes.
Yeah.
within reason.
within reason,
We want you
We have
here.
some guidelines.
Please
but
don't
yeah.
curse at us.
Yes,
But other than that, Okay, so this segment is called Most Interesting Comments. So we have a comment, and it says, this one, it's not the comment that's the funny part. It's the reply to the comment. So
Yeah, it's
someone
all
said,
interaction.
creation science is an oxymoron. And the reply, our most stalwart defender said, no. He just said no. He didn't offer any explanation.
Was there a period?
No, there's no, and didn't even use any punctuation. I just want to thank that person for defending us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Solid defense.
We could not have done it without you.
I want to say yes to you.
Yes. Yeah. So
No period.
When I read that, because I read through all the comments, and as creation science is an oxymoron. No, I just laughed. I was standing
great.
at my desk, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yes.
That is so funny. We appreciate it. All right.
Oh, here's a good one.
Yeah, this is
that
a good
okay?
one.
This is really small, but I can read it.
Yeah.
People are still debating creationists. I thought the scientific consensus was that the creationist species is incapable of understanding even the basic principles of evolution. I distinctly remember hearing, how come monkeys still exist for at least a decade?
I will say that's a good one.
Yes.
Specifically because they're not completely wrong.
Right.
If you're saying, how come monkeys still exist, stop saying that.
Yes.
Because monkeys have always been.
Monkeys. We've had monkeys from the
That's
beginning.
for you, Dr. Sherwin.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sherwin. Yeah, that's kind of been an issue. I think that a lot of creationists, not in a rude way, but there were certain apologetic arguments that were used historically, and now they don't work. It's that they were never really accurate. As we've learned more, you can't just say, how come there are still monkeys? Because evolutionists don't believe that the monkeys that we see now evolved into humans. You know, they have an ancestor in the past.
Yeah,
you
common
know,
ancestor. Yeah.
a common ancestor. And so if you're listening to us and you've ever used that argument to an evolutionist or an atheist,
Watch our other videos.
watch our other videos, learn
Yeah.
some better apologetic arguments there.
Yeah. And just because one creationist says something doesn't mean all creationists believe that too. Like, it would be unfair of us to assume every evolutionist believes the same thing about everything they talk about. So,
Right.
yeah.
And we've learned in a lot of our things that they don't. They disagree with each other on a lot of things as well. So
Here's another comment. So they just go. There's no capitalized letter at the beginning, and there's no punctuation at the end. It's not a globe. It's a flat plane with turned up edges.
But what about... No.
No. It's like the perfect baking sheet where you
Yes.
get the, you know.
we're all
No
just
spillage.
We're all just baking.
Yeah,
I mean,
we're-
you baked.
But that's
yes. We're all just cookies on
this
the
flat plane.
on the cookie sheet of life.
with turned up edges.
Yes.
Crumble cookie.
Is the turned up edge an ice wall? I think I asked Colonel Williams that.
I don't know what the...
Or cinder block.
Or cinder.
I don't know what the material is.
Me either. Yeah, that's interesting. Person who made this comment may have actually made this comment on the video that I'm thinking of. Go watch the video, the Creation.live with Colonel Williams. We discussed the flat Earth. I don't even really want to call it a theory. I mean, Colonel Williams, a Christian man, a creationist, has circled the globe. He's seen it. He has. And he did spacewalks. Circle. It's not a plate.
You can
It's
hover over the baking sheet of life.
the baking sheet of life. Yeah. I don't know. Go watch that episode. If you have
know.
questions,
We'll link it in the show
I'm
notes.
we'll
even a
definitely link it in the show
spiritual.
notes.
We let's clarify that.
Yeah.
We do not promote this concept or this idea of a
Yes.
flat Earth or
Yes.
a disc or cookie sheet, whatever.
To the evolutionists and atheists who disagree with us,
Or other Christians.
at the very least, understand that we are not flat earthers.
Don't
Don't lump us in there.
Don't call me
please.
that.
Yeah, please.
I
That's
have
not
other
my-
names.
that's not my real
The
name.
worst being one of them. But yes. What's the next one? Trey?
The next one,
Bring it on.
I
This
got
is-
it.
Yes.
every human is born in their own year of 6,000. The righteous, capitalized, the righteous shall dry. The righteous shall dry fast for perfect health, and gluten will be banned. I'm not sure what they're talking about. Ivana, do you have any idea?
Well, I'm just saying, out of all of that, I can relate to the gluten aspect.
Yes.
Just because for anyone who didn't want all this information about me, I am gluten-free. So I don't mind if gluten gets banned or I get a new body, one or the other. But I
Yes.
think if we're still on this earth, we can ban the gluten.
I think my question though is like,
I'm not really sure.
If every human is born in their own year of 6,000,
Yeah.
how does the rest of the timeline work? Like,
Well, I don't know if that means you're 6,000 years old when you're born.
Also, what video was this on?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Well, since we're thinking forward,
Yeah.
eternally speaking, and I would hope that surely there aren't allergies in heaven. So
Right.
there will be food, and so you'll be able to eat gluten again, or whatever it will be called then. Manna, I don't know.
What is it?
What is
That's
it?
what manna means.
Yes.
We learned that recently.
Yeah, that's right. This next comment also addresses heaven and dinosaurs. This is for you, friend. Dinosaurs didn't exist. We'll see who's right in heaven. Oh, also, wait a minute. There's a crying, rolling on the floor, laughing emoji.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
I don't know what to say to this person.
Well, we'll see who's right.
We
in
will.
heaven.
He or she is not wrong.
I
agree
with that. We will see.
We will see in heaven. Do you agree with the first part?
No, I just the last.
Oh, okay. I think Dr. Clary and Dr. Thomas's entire doctorate is based off of studying soft tissues in dinosaur bones.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
we will see who's
we
right.
will see.
Will we see dinosaurs in heaven? We're not here for
I
that.
don't know.
We're not
I
here.
don't
can't
know. I
answer
don't
that.
know.
Yeah.
I mean, the lion
Yeah.
will lay down with the lamb. And there would. If
knows?
we're going off of the assumption, that everything was perfect in Eden, which we should, right? That's what Scripture says.
So,
Dinosaurs also lived in Eden.
Yeah.
Interesting, right? This is another commenter. Except for the stuff about sin, what about centuries of religious war and repression in the name of religion? Which I would say is probably also sin.
Yes.
So then that's probably why we're still talking about the sin thing, is because it's just here. So I don't know. But it was interesting.
It is interesting.
I think it's a she.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's an interesting concept because really, if you're watching one of our videos, you're either curious or you're either curious or you know that you disagree with us and you kind of want to find out what we're doing, or you agree with us. So it's interesting that this person is like, wow, maybe they're right about, creationism, but they have problems with the religious portion of it. I don't know. It's an interesting comment from that point of view. All right. Let me guess. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you.
Let me guess. You stupid idiots still believe in Santa Claus.
No.
Claus spelled C-L-A-W-S.
Yeah.
Santa.
Yeah,
this is Santa.
But they didn't
Claus.
exist.
Santa Claus. He doesn't exist. Dinosaurs don't exist. No.
Yeah.
I believe in Saint Nick, who
And like the Tooth Fairy. That's not
right.
silly.
Right. Well, that's Dwayne the Rock Johnson, of course.
The
Tooth
movie.
Fairy. The
Got
movie,
it.
The Tooth
Okay.
Fairy. No, I mean, no, we don't believe in Santa Claus as the fictional being.
Wow.
I want to take this next one if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
And I also have the response. It's interesting. Creationists talking science is like monkeys playing with nuclear warheads. And the response is, creationists gave you science, buddy.
Burn.
He's not
Ouch.
wrong.
Not wrong.
I mean, the second one's not wrong.
Right, yeah.
Well, are we playing with nuclear warheads? Granted,
I don't.
No.
I'm not a scientist, but
I don't really understand the application of this one.
why not?
But we can talk about science, and we do, and we have, and that's what
Yeah.
this whole show is built on.
Right.
The science, how that confirms what we read in Scripture. So,
Come to the Discovery Center, go to the Founders of Science exhibit. You'll see a
Yes.
number of founders of entire schools of science.
Right.
Like they were
yeah,
creationists.
Kepler, Newton, Boyle, Pasteur, so many others too, who had a biblical
Faraday.
worldview, and they interpreted their science through that lens as well. And a lot of their discoveries, even the paths of the sea, was that Matthew Morey, discovering that from the book of Psalms, and reading about the paths of the
Right.
sea, and then observing that in real life. And so that's just interesting.
Yeah.
Open your eyes and your mind and think about it. Ask questions.
It's good stuff.
So let's switch over to the other side. I'm going to go through these quickly. I love every one of your broadcasts and look forward to more.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
you.
Percy. We appreciate
Creation
that.
science is important in light of what is biblical truth. If, for example, the Genesis account is somehow symbolic and not historical, as I believe it is, then sin is symbolic and not factual. Then Christ's death and resurrection do not have the same meaning and value that they do have. Without a literal creation, everything else falls apart. Can I already touch on that, right?
We talked about
Yeah.
like the second Adam,
Yeah.
the final Adam,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This was, I think, about the CET episodes on one of those. CET being continuous environmental tracking, part of the theory of biological design that ICR and spearheaded by Dr. Randy Galuza. On that one of those episodes, this is great. This makes way more sense than natural selection. It's a pity the other creation science ministries out there are still holding on to the dead orthodoxy of natural selection. I commend you for being independent thinkers.
We definitely get way more positive comments than we do negative.
Which is awesome.
And we get,
Yeah.
And we read comments,
we
obviously.
do, we read all of them.
Yeah.
We get some negative ones, we get some strange ones. We get some that are completely irrelevant to the videos sometimes, but it's YouTube, it is what it is. But
Yep.
yeah, thanks for sharing those. All right, let's look ahead. What's coming in the future? Of course, we've got more creation podcasts for an eternity. No, but
Feels like it,
but yeah. For a very long time, we've got more of those. But we've got other stuff coming up soon. We've got the Creation.live podcast we're going to keep putting out every month. What are you all excited to see from digital media in the next, we'll just say year, because we'll have another Christmas episode.
Man, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited to see, okay, so in particular about the Creation podcast, things that are coming up soon, I think. There are a couple episodes that stand out to me. There are other projects we're working on too that are also exciting, but we don't want to give away everything.
Right.
But a couple episodes. One is on the miracle of life. I think it's going to be number 42, but don't hold us to the number. We'll see what happens. But just the concept from fertilization to delivery. When you hear your baby cry, it's life. We have life, and that comes from the Lord. And so this episode, I think, is just going to be really fascinating. That content, including, what is the placenta? What's the purpose of the placenta? For those of you who love an alliteration, the watery world in the womb. Babies living in water? How do we go from living in a watery world to now? If I tried to go live in water, I would drown. So how does that work? The mother's body not attacking the baby as a foreign object in a sense. How does that work? And was this on purpose? I mean, how could it be an accident? And then even just the birthing process in general. We were all there. We just don't remember it. But also, what? Traumatic. But having been at a few births recently myself, and seeing
Your wife.
Yes. Exactly. Thank you for clarifying. Sorry, Allie.
Yeah, they had kids.
Yes, and so having experienced being present for that happening and seeing how the mother's body responds to various stages of labor and then going through delivery. I mean, without even it's almost people call it miracle, but like just God's design of the human body. So that episode's, I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And then another one coming up. Why animals hibernate, or the concept of hibernation. That's always fascinated me. It's like, hey, I'm gonna go store up all of my nuts for the winter, and I'll be fine.
I would love to do that.
Yes, and just sleep and rest, especially after having all those kids. But anyway, how's this gonna work? But I can't wait to hear the scientific answers and explanations for hibernation, and what's the creation connection there? Creation connection. I just remembered something I'm excited about.
Would you like to share with the class?
I'll let you explain.
Okay.
Are you going to share?
Well, you go first. I'll go last. Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
When it comes to the Creation podcast, a couple of the ones that I'm excited about, we've got an episode that I think is really going to be interesting as far as transitional forms. It's one of the arguments for evolution. So we hear these things so vaguely. So then what are we talking about? What does that look like? What is the evidence there? Also, Trey has a 2-part episode about chimps and humans,
I'm excited about that one.
DNA, all that kind of stuff with Dr. Tompkins. And that one is, I think, another compelling argument. If we're going to be talking about the apes and ape-like common ancestor, that's a great one. Then we do talk about dragons.
We do.
Which is cool and exciting. And you're like, what? Dragons? Yeah, we captured a dragon.
Bring it out.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, they didn't do that. But it's just, talking about the legends of dragons and where that maybe came from. And then another one that surprised me in a sense, please don't take offense to this, but we talked about the laws of physics. And why would that ever surprise me? What?
Sorry, Dr. Hebert.
And there's a lot of people out there who are probably interested. But I didn't realize, I think just some of the connections that Dr. Hebert made with that and the implications about like our universe and God, that to me was just really eye-opening, encouraging, and I learned a lot from that episode. But in general, we've got more projects coming, just different things that we're trying and doing, and so I think that'll be exciting just to keep changing things up.
Yeah.
If we might keep changing the look of things or the styles of things or sounds of things. So I know we've got more things, and I think you could make a great creation connection with that.
I probably could. I will go ahead and say that Dr. Hebert says that physics is like the base of all science. So it's just
totally. I've got a shirt.
We could
that
have a
says
scientist cage match about this because
could.
they would argue.
they would fight.
Oh no.
I mean, you can't have anything without physics, right?
You couldn't even have the cage match. I mean,
Couldn't-
really.
It's true. It's true. I'm really excited about the chimp and human DNA episodes. In particular, I think that Dr. Tompkins' work there is very vital. We've kind of been sold a lie for years that chimps and humans are really close. You'll just have to wait and see those, right?
Leave us hanging there.
I know.
Yep.
But I'd like to make a connection,
really?
a creation connection.
Oh.
if you will. A connection to creation. So we have a show that will be coming out sometime this next year.
And where will it be released?
It will be released for free on YouTube.
So that means you need to do what on YouTube?
You need to subscribe to
And
YouTube.
hit
You need
that.
to subscribe to YouTube.
Yeah.
You need to subscribe to YouTube. There, I looked at all the cameras and told all of our audience, no
Yeah.
matter what angle they're watching from.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
listening.
And listening to.
listening.
Yes. So you need to subscribe to YouTube because
And
it'll
ring
come
the
out.
bell, hit the bell, tap the bell. What are we
yeah,
supposed to do?
you're
There's
supposed
a notification
to.
button.
You're supposed to smack that like button
That's it.
and
Yeah.
hit the bell for notifications. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Whatever.
But we have a show that will be coming out. It'll be a seasonal show. So it'll have a set number of episodes, and then we'll take a break. But it'll have 12 episodes on any number of topics. It'll be quite different than the Creation podcast. It'll be funny.
Yes.
It'll be funny.
and relevant.
And relevant.
And while that will be happening, that doesn't mean the Creation Podcast is
Yes.
going away. We will still be
Right.
here.
Yes, the Creation podcast will be here. Creation.live will still continue to, and Days of Praise. We can't forget
Yes.
Days of Praise, Mr. Voice.
Praise for Days.
For those of
This
you who are
is-
watching, this is the voice of Days of Praise.
Can you just give us a Days of Praise real quick?
On the spot? Oh, man. If
we're
I just
good.
read something in that voice. Okay, I've got you. Here we go. Brilliant interviewing skills, Ivana. You're one of the best interviewers on YouTube. You know just the right questions to ask and how to encourage the interviewee to answer thoroughly.
That was a positive
I don't know
comment.
if I've
That was
ever-
actually a comment, by the way, in the Days of Praise voice.
I'm going to apologize for saying I don't think I've ever read that comment because I don't read them.
To be fair,
we read
Michael
them,
and I
yeah.
handled most of the
Yes,
comments.
we do read
On
all
YouTube,
the comments.
yes.
So just so you're aware, we do
But
read
that
your
is
comments.
so kind
Ivana
Yes.
reads the messages.
Yeah.
We read the comments. So
to be nice.
Yes.
No, that was very nice. of
Brilliant
both of
interviewing
you.
skills, Ivana.
Also, Trey writes most of the questions, so
that is
most.
true.
I add some, but most of what you're hearing is
I
probably
mean,
Trey.
to be fair, it's a pretty loose framework. We're just kind of going with the flow. I pick a topic and we talk to the scientists about it ahead of time.
Yeah. We've talked about exciting things ahead.
Yes.
But I read that comment for a particular reason because we also have some sad news to share.
Yes.
Yes. One of our beloved hosts, Ivana, is leaving the Creation Podcast.
That is true.
Yeah, I am.
Well, based on batch recording, you will likely still see
Yes.
Ivana for
Yes.
a while.
At least until June of 2023.
So I will
You will be with
linger.
us in spirit.
You'll be with
Yes.
us.
and on our YouTube channel.
And on our YouTube channel.
On Creation Connection. On
Yes,
future Creation
she
Podcast
will be
episodes.
in Creation
Yeah.
Connection.
Yes. But we wish you all the best in your
you.
next adventure.
Yeah,
Do you want to tell us
Sure.
what else is happening?
Yeah. I didn't know we'd be talking about this.
Surprise.
It's on. No.
Well, but I mean, like,
Mention
at-
Yeah, we didn't talk
Ivana
about that.
leaving.
Mention
It's just
Ivana
like
leaving.
she's leaving.
You didn't infer
Yeah.
from that?
Well, so I am leaving, but it's not because I necessarily, wanted to leave. And I wasn't asked to leave, I don't think either.
Not by
No.
not by any of us.
No, I'm moving. I'm getting married and I'm moving, and so I just physically, literally cannot be a part of ICR. But I have loved it. I'm actually really sad. Even my fiance is sad that I have to leave here because of how great it's been and the great work I've gotten to be a part of. But it will continue, not just because I've batch recorded. So
Thank
that
you.
it will continue.
And you did call him your fiance. At this point, he will be your husband.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
But so it'll be a transition, but I know that you guys will continue and you'll be strong moving forward. So there'll be great things.
We'll try not to cry too much.
I will also try not to cry too much. But it'll be fun. It'll be good. And I think ICR is headed in the right direction. So I will be in the comments
Yes.
soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Last podcast of the year. Any end of year wisdom or thoughts that you want to give our listeners or viewers?
It's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure. That's what I'm good at.
Okay, well, one, if you haven't listened to or watched all of our episodes this year, now's the time during Christmas break. Watch it all.
Yes.
Christmas gift money, I know where you can spend it.
Yes.
At icr.org/store. We have a new DVD creation class, Adam or Apes. We've talked about some of this in Creation Podcast episodes, but this is a brand new production. It's our first video production for sale, I think, as a team. So
First in a series, too.
First in a series. And so speaking of series and topics of scientific nature, we read your comments and questions. And so these questions that you ask are likely they've either been answered on other shows or they will be in upcoming episodes of the Creation Podcast, other DVDs, other video products. But go ahead and keep posting those questions and comments and we'll review them. We'll consider them for future resources.
Those are all great things. I'm so excited. I'm glad that you invited us to this special episode because there's really a lot to look back on for us to be proud of as an organization, but to be excited to share with everyone. We may not win everyone from a video, whether it's one of our Q&A short videos that are really shareable and easy to disperse, or one of the podcast episodes, but I think we're excited to share what we have and hope that it plants seeds, that people really start asking questions and looking at the evidence that there is for creation, for a creator, a designer, and all of that. So I'm excited to have been a part of this team. I'm excited for what's coming up. Like you said, we're wrapping up the year. So everyone just get cozy, put in the playlist, and just knock them out. Because when we come out with more stuff, you want to make sure that you've been on the ball. Mm-hmm. So I encourage everyone with that, but I'm excited about it.
Me too. Well, again, thank y'all so much for being here. It's been a blast working with y'all and just being on this podcast. So thank y'all. And for all of our listeners and viewers, we want to thank y'all for joining us throughout this year and through this end of the year. We will be back in 2 weeks with our normal, regularly scheduled programming. We're not going anywhere. The Creation Podcast will be back as normal. So thank you so much for joining us. Please make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, ask questions, all that good stuff. So we'll see you soon, and Merry Christmas.